First at 5 o'clock, gun violence in the Rose City. We saw a lot of it this weekend. Officers responded to more than a dozen shootings in just 24 hours.
One person was killed, but it could have been worse. KGW's Mike Benner visited some of the neighborhoods impacted by the gunfire and has more.
Monday morning in southeast Portland, kids play outside Harrison Park School. In all likelihood, they're oblivious to what happened here over the weekend, as they should be. Neighbors, on the other hand,
can I say I'm pissed? I'm pissed.
Mel Thompson is reacting to the shooting that happened late Saturday afternoon. Witnesses recall hearing a dozen gunshots. A stray bullet hit the school. Another hit an occupied home.
People forget these are only wooden houses and the bullets will go right through. So the people start shooting bullets and geez, you know. Don't want to see that, but.
It was a violent weekend in Portland. 13 shootings in a span of 28 hours. More than 150 shell casings found at those shooting scenes. We know one person was killed near McCoy Park in North Portland late Friday night. Fortunately, nobody was hurt in the shooting near Mount Scott Park Saturday evening. Nonetheless,
obviously, it's terrible. It's been really terrible.
Nadine Salama lives in the Mount Scott Arleta neighborhood, an area that's seen a lot of shootings as of late.
It's just always has been a safe neighborhood. And so this is a drastic change from what everybody here is used to. It's very disheartening.
Just listen to this. With more than 2.5 months to go in 2021, there have already been more than 925 shootings in Portland. That compares to 891 shootings last year and 388 in 2019. The spike in gunfire is not going unnoticed.
Things have changed dramatically from when I first moved here. And it's kind of sorry to see it heading in that direction.
Mel Thompson is hoping for calm, and sooner rather than later.
Of course, absolutely. This used to be a really beautiful city.
As you might imagine, these weekend shootings really stretched the police bureau thin. At one point, a lone sergeant was collecting evidence at one of the scenes. In the meantime, only 2 arrests have been made so far. Detectives could really use your help. If you have any information about these shootings, you're urged to contact the Portland Police Bureau. I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
Gun violence is an issue in Gresham, too, where a teenager was hurt in a shooting. It happened near Southeast Division in 182nd this morning in a shopping center parking lot. The teen ran to a nearby school for help. School staff cared for them until police arrived. The teen is expected to survive. Police haven't released information about a suspect yet. Now, with all these shootings happening, we don't cover a lot of burglaries, but one over the weekend got our attention.
It was a break-in at a hardware store in Northwest Portland. Tim Gordon shows us the thieves made quite an entry.
Pearl Hardware at Northwest 16th and Gleason. This is an Ace Hardware with a lot of products inside. About 1:30 Sunday morning, 2 guys broke in from above.
We had a couple of thieves break in through our skylights and rappel down from the windows.
Store supervisor Drew Stefani says the way they came in with a rope did not set off alarms, but it was caught on camera.
So we actually had a camera right where they dropped the rope. So we have one guy comes in and basically his mask drops right in front of the camera too, so we get a pretty good picture of his face.
Well, you notice the scaffolding outside the store here. They're getting roof work done, and Drew figures that was an easy way up for the burglars. But rappelling back down into the store.
They came up through the window there, slid down and whacked themselves right there on the end of that shelf.
The second burglar didn't do so well.
The video is pretty humorous, at least. One of the thieves kind of fell coming in, which was a little bit of a, cosmic karmic relief for us.
A little comic relief seems reasonable. The guy was well enough to carry on with the crime. The 2 men setting out to steal some of the expensive items.
This guy is the one loading up all the stuff out of the cases.
Their nearly 30-minute effort documented by a few different cameras.
Thankfully, they didn't break any of these tempered glass panels.
Today, some security cases are damaged and tools are gone from shelves now empty.
Oh yeah, a lot of the Milwaukee and DeWalt stuff got snatched, which I'm sure was easy to turn around and sell.
Altogether, the thieves got away with about $5,000 in merchandise.
And there's the alarm.
They would have taken more they'd gathered, but a door alarm went off as they started to leave.
And they got through that door pretty quick.
Long gone by the time police arrived, taking more than merchandise.
It's that feeling of people coming into your space. It makes you feel unsafe. Having to spend all of our time not helping customers, but like repairing our store.
In Northwest Portland, Tim Gordon, KGW News.
Community leaders in Old Town have continued to ask for the city for support, but now they are stepping up the urgency. 4 cultural organizations based in Old Town sent a letter to city leaders to meet with them by October 22nd and lay out specific commitments to support the neighborhood. The group cited crime and vandalism as huge issues right now. The letter says, in part, quote, "We need to hear the city's plan for adding police and combating rising crime, and we need the county to step up and deploy mental health professionals in our neighborhood," which was recently described as an open-air psychiatric ward. Lan Su Chinese Garden, for instance, which is one of the groups in the letter, says it has dealt with violence toward both staff and visitors. The other organizations are the Japanese American Museum of Oregon, the Oregon Jewish Museum and Center for Holocaust Education, and the Portland Chinatown Museum.
In less than an hour, the Salem City Council will reconsider plans for a homeless village. The problem? Neighbors are mad and say the property the city chose floods. This is the property along Wallace Road Northwest. It sits next to apartments and less than a quarter mile from a retirement community and a school. Still, the city council voted last month to put a homeless village there, big enough to house 60 people. Neighbors have been writing and calling the city in droves, telling them this is a bad idea.
The other apartments next to us weren't notified. The school around us wasn't notified. Families around us weren't notified, and they're backtracking at this point now to cover their butts because they approved it without really getting the expectation of how everyone else feels.
I heard the comment from somebody that they thought because we're elderly that we would just take it and roll over and, just stay in our little complex. But it affects everybody.
And these photos give you an idea of the blowback. They show a packed community meeting at Salem Town, the retirement community near the site. Residents say everyone there feels for people who are homeless, but think this site is the wrong place for a village. Tonight's city council meeting starts at 6 o'clock.
So temperatures in Portland continue to drop, but it's getting a little bit colder outside. Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino tracking the temps for us. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Dan, that's right. You know what? It just feels like we're in the middle of fall, and we kind of are. I mean, we're not quite in the middle, but we're firmly into the season. It was chilly today, and it's going to be even colder tomorrow morning. Here's a live look from our camera out at the Reserve Golf Course in Aloha. Golfers, here's a tip for you. You're going to have frost delays tomorrow morning. So if you have that early morning tee time, plan on waiting an hour or so until things melt away. It's 58 out at the Reserve right now, 36 on that dew point temperature, which is kind of key because the temperature will get to about where that dew point temperature is, which is cold enough for frost. It was 34 in Hillsboro this morning. So several areas around Western Oregon have been in the low to mid 30s several times already the last couple weeks, like 34 this morning in Hillsboro. But for Portland, we dropped to 39 this morning. That's our first morning where we had temperatures in the 30s in a long time. I'll show you in just a minute. Elsewhere around the region this morning, again, 37 in McMinnville, 39 at Astoria. But except for Chehalis and Hillsboro with those 34s, not quite cold enough for frost this morning. But tomorrow morning will be, including downtown Portland and the city, which tends to be warmer because of the urban heat island effect. So we have a frost advisory up from the Gorge through Portland all the way out to the Oregon coast. And there's a hard freeze warning out in eastern Oregon, too, where temperatures will drop down below 20s. But for us, even though we don't get to 32, it'll be cold enough for frost because 36 is the number we look at because we measure the air temperature about 5 feet off the ground. And at the ground level, if it's 36 at 5 feet, you can get down cold enough to get ice forming and get the frost. So we're forecasting a low of 36 tomorrow morning, which is cold enough for frost. Before today, our last day in the 30s was about 6 months ago, April 13th. And on average, our first day in the fall where we dropped to 36 is October 26th. So we're a couple of weeks ahead of schedule with the frosty mornings here in town. We'll have more on this a bit later, guys.
All right, Matt, thank you so much. So this next story is an amazing story of survival in a battle with COVID. A man from Sandy is back home tonight after nearly 10 months in the hospital fighting the virus. It infected Alejandro Castro and his 3 children during Thanksgiving of last year. These are some pictures from his family and from Providence Hospital where doctors and nurses saved his life. The children recovered, but Castro went downhill very fast. He ended up spending 108 days on a machine that pumped his blood outside of his body, put oxygen into that blood, and then pumped it back in. Even after that, it took months for his body to heal, as you would imagine. His lung doctor, Jason Wells, says it was inspiring to see him leave.
It was an amazing feeling. I think we see with any of our patients when, again, as I said, you develop this relationship because you're there day after day. But to see someone after 10 months, to see him finally be able to get to his goal, which was to get home and get there with his family and his kids, was a pretty amazing feeling.
That's the applause there as Castro was leaving Providence Portland Hospital last Thursday, a bit of a hero send-off. His doctor said the damage done by COVID will likely be with him for the rest of his life. By the way, we asked Providence, I know a lot of people have been curious when they hear this story, how much the bill was for that long stay. They did not have a total, but said whatever his insurance does not cover, Providence will absorb.
Wow, thank goodness he's home, but those healthcare workers too are heroes. A pill to help fight COVID-19 might be on the market this year. Merck & Company says it has asked the Food and Drug Administration to authorize emergency use of its experimental antiviral pill to treat COVID-19 in adults. Clinical trial data showed the medication known as molnupiravir reduced the chances that patients newly diagnosed with COVID would be hospitalized by about 50%. The drug works by stopping the replication of the virus inside the body. If approved, it would be the first pill to treat COVID-19, and it could be available in the U.S. by the end of the year.